This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by hopsdirect.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, hopsdirect.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is hopsdirect.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to hopsdirect.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's hopsdirect.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Using air to initially pressurize a fermenter, rehydrating frozen yeast, and dealing with foamy pores from my Jockey bots. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 390. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friend, watching or listening at home, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com, click on that submit a question link at the top of the page, or even better, call it in to 325-305-6107. And when I use your voicemail question on a future episode, which I probably will because I'm getting desperate right now, we need them, you get yourself a $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com down there, Mr. James Carlson, as well as the President, Chief Keg Washer, and aloha, the beach loving.
I love the 4th of July. This is great.
Look at you. I like, though, right by your head, the obviously AI.
Oh, yeah.
You see how, yeah. It didn't.
See the Muntins?
The headphones.
What are you talking about? I'm at the beach.
Yeah. I love it. It looks great. You do it. What beach are you at? That looks way too nice for the Texas coast.
Oh, yeah. It's South Padre Island. Yeah.
Oh, what? Yes, the iconic, beautiful turquoise waters of South Padre Island.
Having a good time, about to go have a cold beer, and oh God, I'm back at work.
Zoom did an update and messed everything up for me, so I took these guys' times like an extra 5 or 6 minutes to try to figure it out, and I still didn't get it figured out. But anyway, but look, we have a cool blue background now. Isn't that beautiful? We are happy to have you back. Happy 4th of July. When today's the 3rd, we record on Wednesdays and we publish on Thursdays, which is the 4th of July. So happy Independence Day to all you Americans, to our British audience. Sorry about that incident a couple hundred years ago. And to everyone else worldwide, hope you're enjoying your Thursday. Before we get into like the meat and potatoes of small talk, let's talk about 4th of July. Todd, you're hosting. My parents are hosting. And James, I hope you have good beer on tap. Let's start with you, though, Todd. James, if you're watching, you see James shaking his head no. But we'll start with you, Todd. Don't. Todd has 9 total taps. Between the barn is 6 of them. And then up by the pool is 3 or 2? 3, right? Up at the pool?
3, but they're not all full. I wish I would like to say they're all full, but they're not.
Do you, off the top of your head, know what you have on tap, though, at either given?
Well, I got my Kolsch. I've got your brown. So one of the problems I'm having at the pool is when it's over 100 degrees, the kegerator can't keep up. So the beer's like 50 degrees by the time. So, and the problem is, it'd be perfect if I drank in the morning, which I may have to start doing because that's when the beer's cold. But it's by the time you get up there in the late afternoon after y'all work me so hard all day and I'm ready for a beer, it's like 52 degrees, which is absolutely perfect for the British, the
English brown ale
brown ale that y'all brewed. So I've been drinking that off the tap because it's perfect British brown ale temp. So.
I came up there Sunday night and I brought you a keg of that Mosaic Smash IPA. Yeah. How is that pouring now? Because I'll give some backstory.
Great.
So, James, I brought it up Sunday and I just set it in his kegerator. It wasn't even carbonated. I forgot. I didn't carbonate. when I bring Todd beer now.
It had carbonation.
Well, it had very, very little. It had the carbonation from pressure fermentation.
It had a pretty decent amount.
Well, you tried it and you told me, let's force carb it. And this, not throwing Todd under the bus. Hopefully he agrees hopefully you agree with my recollection of what happened, but it's Monday night. We get back from work and he tries and he goes, oh yeah, that needs carbonation. Shake it for a minute and put it back in. Turns out we didn't need to shake it.
I didn't mean a literal minute, I guess. I should have been more. What I normally do is do it like 20 or 30 seconds when it's already carbonated and check it and then do it another 20 or 30. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's overcarbed.
It was.
Well, it was. I think we were able to fix it.
I do too.
I just don't think it was really my fault, though. That's all I'm saying.
Besides the carbonation issues, though,
it was totally my fault. By the way,
but it was my fault. It's a Yellow Rose clone, which is from it's the people out of Magnolia. Crap, what are they called again? We've gotten flack for not remembering what they're called. They're in Magnolia. Oh my gosh, Lost Pint.
Yeah,
Lost Pint, right?
Yeah,
I think it's Lost Pint.
Right. Yeah, Lost Pint.
But Todd did say that the recipe is a spot on clone of the Yellow Rose Mosaic IPA.
It's awesome. It's really good. Really, really, really good. A lot of carbonation, but really, really, really good.
A lot of carbonation. So James, you were shaking your head. No, do you not have any beer on tap for 4th of July?
No, my kegerator's empty and dry.
No. Oh, dude. Well,
I see, and I did invite him to come to my house and drink beer, but it's the first weekend he hasn't been with a lady that he's dating, I think, and he wants
that I'm dating.
His girlfriend.
Julie. I think he forgot Julie's name.
No, I didn't know if you wanted me to say the name on the podcast.
That was Todd.
Nobody knows her last name, so
anyway, and she's she has something to do this weekend, so he's going to be at home alone for the first time in a long time.
Dang.
Which I think all guys like to be alone sometimes. Right?
Oh yeah. I do
every once in a while, but we don't have as much experience with it, do we, Josh? Because we're always surrounded by people.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't,
especially you.
Well, my wife doesn't watch this, so I can admit my trips to the ranch a couple times a month are my sanctuary, Fortress of Solitude type of trips. Oh yeah. I have to call her every night. They'll be like, oh babe, I miss you so much. Can't wait to get home. And then I hang up and I eat a tub of ice cream. Life is good.
To be fair, you only ate half a gallon this time. Or no,
who can afford
half
it?
of a half gallon. Yeah.
Can't afford. Wait.
Well,
I looked at Bluebell's almost
dude,
half gallon.
it was free. It was my ice cream.
was his ice cream.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah. Allegedly, though, James, it went back on sale because I'm in there eating it, and Todd was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to get you some more, fat boy," because apparently,
well, that part I do believe.
he's sabotaging me. It's summertime. I'm trying to be in my summer body.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to. I found out Bluebell has a cereal ice cream. I got to get that.
Yeah. So for Christmas, Todd's giving me diabetes. So, like, it'll be good. It'll be good.
Well, that's the gift that keeps on giving, right?
It is absolutely in the form of insulin. My pop they're hosting a party. I believe they're going to have anywhere from like 35 to 45 people. I might be overshooting it a little. My mom invited some extended family on her side, and then there's always friends and stuff. But either way, we're going to have 4 beers on tap. We're going to have the Mosaic IPA. We're going to have the breakfast stout that we still have from last year, from November. We're going to have the English brown, and we're going to have a Kolsch. So it's going to be real good. And I put it on our Instagram at instagram.com/homebrew happy hour. I'm making 10 gallons of Topo Chico I did take that trash can, Todd, one of the big ones from the office. And, we're going to put that outside where the big water slide's going to be and where everyone's really hanging out. That way people can be hydrated with something other than booze, like if they so choose to. Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Spoiler, though, that's also going to make it a lot easier for me to add soda water to my cup of gin. That was the real reason. I could put the gin in there, then walk over there and be like, oh, yeah, just hydrating with water. But I used a couple of those Topo Chico packs, which I'll put in the show notes below. They're selling like hotcakes, as they should, because you can make 5 gallons of real Topo Chico, use RO water, use this mineral pack. Very easy to make, 5 gallons later, and it's like $6. That's all. It's an incredible deal. And like I said, everyone loves it. It's the spot on because it's the literal water profile of, is it Monterey? I always forget where that mountain is. It's in Monterey,
yeah,
right?
it's real close to Monterey. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, it's the legit thing. And if you don't want to spend that money on it, on homebrewhappyhour.com, I'll link to the article. You can source this stuff yourself and measure it out. I'll tell you, once you measure out 5 gallons worth or whatever you're going to measure out, because we do the formula for you and you can scale it to whatever size batch you're trying to make. Buying the patch is just easier. It's a pain in the butt to measure out and all that. It's not enjoyable. That's why we did the patch, because we want them to be able to do this stuff at home. And we realize once you do it once, it's like cleaning bottles. Yeah, I'll do it. I mean, not me personally. Some of y'all out there are saying, I'll clean bottles. It's not that bad. And then you get to the 50th bottle for your 5 gallon batch. You go, this sucks. Let's just get a keg. Same kind of principle. But anyway, I'm excited about all that beer and water on tap. That reminds me to tell y'all, for the recipe of the month, in the spirit of summer and deliciousness and all that, we are doing one of Todd's favorite recipes. It is the Summer Nights Grapefruit Pale Ale. I know it's one of Todd's favorites because you used to brew it all the time, boss, a couple years ago. This was also the batch that we bottled, that you did a batch of it and we didn't keg it at all. Remember? You just bottled it.
Yep, I remember.
And then not only that, but that happened to be way over carbonated, and we made bottle bombs. That's my favorite.
We did. Yeah, and I still got a bottle in there. We should shake it up and open it when you're here next time.
Yeah.
I remember, is it your buddy? He's is either a contractor or a general contractor or something, was at your house in 2021, 2022. And we opened up a bottle of it, James, and we had to let it sit for like 20 minutes. And so we're trying other beers while it was sitting before it was ready. It was that carbonated, But fortunately, after 20 minutes, it was ready. So it's still a good tasting beer.
I don't have the recipe in front of me, guys, but you could go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour, join a recipe receiving tier, get it shipped out to you at the end of the month. I suspect that it's a grapefruit pale ale. It's probably going to be using Mosaic as well on top of some other hops. Todd, do you remember off the top of your head what's part of it for the hops to get that grapefruit flavor?
I actually, well, it's definitely the hops, but I actually add grapefruit as well when I do that recipe.
Like juice or like zest or?
Yeah, so I pull the outsides off without getting too much of the rind. Then I bake it in the oven and grind, and then put it in to the recipe. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Again, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntins Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast for always providing the premium ingredients that go into every kit. The kits that shipped out for June, I'm bringing them back up only because there was the delicious Dusseldorf Altstadt Alt beer, which means the Alt Pokal 2024 Alt Beer World Championships is live. Registration's available at altpokal.com. That's ALTPOKAL.com. Go register right now. We have about 26 registrants of the 40 that we're going to accept. The contest is in October. You got tons of time to brew your beer, whether it's the kit we ship to you if you're in the Trub Club, or if it's your own recipe, or you bought Horst Dornbush's book and want to brew one of the many recipes he includes in there. However you want to do it. Go sign up at altpokal.com. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Muntins, Hops Direct, and Imperial Yeast for supporting the effort we are trying to do by having people send us alt beer and drink it all in a couple of days. No. To bring back old world styles and showcase them to the world or something.
You have me blocked my share screen.
Oh, why? What are you trying to share?
Will you unblock it? Well, it's a surprise.
Andale. So look at now. I gotta go to here. I got it. It says you can share. Okay, go ahead.
That's totally Josh's alley right there.
Huh?
Yeah, it looks like Fruity Pebbles with some strawberry ice cream.
No, as I say, what flake? Yeah, that's they would have won me over more if it was Cinnamon Toast Crunch or Captain Crunch.
But I mean, it's pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know. Get it? I'll try it for the sake of the show, Todd. I will try it. Can you unshare now? See, the reason there, thank you. I was hesitant to let him share because when we have meetings, sometimes he'll share his screen and he won't unshare it because you're never really looking at the meeting. You'll come up to another window and we're all just looking at your desktop computer. It's the worst. Anyway, we do have a great show lined up for you. That's all the small talk I have. Before I get to the questions, though,
it's time for listener feedback.
What a wonderful week when we have listener feedback. And this week, our buddy Christian left some feedback on pitching older Imperial Yeast.
Hey guys, it's Christian from Youngstown, Ohio. I guess I'm going to put this under listener feedback, which I've never actually done before. In a lot of past episodes, you guys have talked about, or the listeners have asked questions about yeast viability. With the dry yeast, I get that you put it in the freezer, etc. And it keeps for quite a while. Liquid yeast, I know you always say 4 months, it can start going downhill. I'm going to mention Imperial Yeast, not that it's because you all recommend it and use it in your kits, but just to give some listeners some comfort in case they have any doubt. Imperial Yeast, they cover it for up to 4 months. So here's the thing. I got busy. I got sent away with the military again. I'll put it this way. I just brewed a batch where I had a 9, maybe even almost 10-month-old pack of liquid Imperial Yeast. Okay. Wow. And I pitched it into a batch, and I swear it was going within 12 hours, just like any other batch. So just to give some listeners just a peace of mind. It's not recommended, but hey, I just pitched a 9-month-old pack of liquid yeast. It's doing just great. Not recommended, but that should make people doubt things a little less. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I appreciate everything you guys do, and I love listening to the show. All right, thanks.
Christian, my man, thank you so much for the feedback. I had to, for the sake of transparency and all that, I do got to tell y'all, we did the alt beer for Brew Day Live in June, and I forgot to get it was a slew of errors. I ordered the yeast later than I normally do. The yeast got delayed and all that, so we didn't get to have Kaiser, which is their yeast strain. But upstairs, we did have Dieter, but it was the older pouches from February. And I was like, oh, it's fine. It'll be fine. Pitched 2 pouches for this 10-gallon batch. 24 hours later, no activity. Oh, no.
How many pouches did we have up there? We only had 2?
We only had the 2. Yep.
Oh, okay.
We had those 2. I took them. I pitched them. Normally, healthy, viable yeast, for Imperial especially, I've seen activity as quick as 7 hours later. And 7 hours was the quickest that I checked it. It was probably quicker than that. Like we always do. It's not Imperial's fault on this case, because that yeast I let sit in the fridge for a while and it was at the tail end of its life. But I did want to bring that up because, like Christian said, it's not recommended. What I should have done in the future when it's 4 months or older is create a starter if I didn't want to just use a different, fresher pouch or a different kind of yeast. So I did.
Yeah, I'm still surprised though. So how long did you wait?
26 hours before I pitched.
Yeah.
I know.
I would have waited 2 days.
I know you told me the same thing, and I got impatient. But I did. I will say, I had some dry yeast in the fridge. Pitched it, and then within another 10 hours, I had activity. So it could have been nothing with the dry yeast. It could have been, you know what I mean? Like, I agree with you. I freaked out because I was like, because I'm so spoiled. I'm a spoiled child, and I'm so used to seeing Imperial react within the first 10 hours that I was like, oh no, I messed up. This batch is going to be terrible. And I wanted alt beer. I want this batch of alt beer, which I'm going to keg later today. I'm back in town now, ready to keg it. I want this for the September event that we do for my daughter. We have a thing of Kolsch in there that's been cold conditioning, and we're going to have alt beer. Those are the only 2 beer I really care about for that event. I really want those.
How old is your daughter, though? Should she really be drinking alt beer?
We're free range parents, man. We just let the kids do whatever. It's a philosophy, whatever they want, man. She's getting a face tattoo next week, and then I'm gonna teach her how to roll cigars. No, but
nice.
I just want Alt and Kolsch for that September event. Alt and Kolsch are good beer all time of the year, but in September, as it's kind of cooling, we've had even though it's 100 degrees. I'm not trying to jinx anything. Overall, it's been kind of a mild summer. So I'm hoping it'll be, cooler come September or late September when we do this event. I'm hoping that the weather will be better than these triple-digit days we're having now. But anyway.
I got something to add to that.
Go for it.
We have a listener, and he had reached out to me a while back about brewing an alt beer, and he's been working real hard on it. Well, he won gold, and he's moving to the finals for the National Homebrew Competition with that alt beer.
That's right. Was that John?
Give a shout out to John Dieter.
Yeah.
And tell him, hey, congratulations. We're proud of you.
John, first off, wonderful last name. John, that's my absolute favorite. That's my favorite strain of Imperial yeast. That's Dieter. What a great, but yeah, I saw the email you forwarded to us. How incredible. And I believe it's your recipe that he used, right? Or did he just take your advice?
I don't know. I think he was kind of tweaking on it, which is absolutely fantastic. You guys get out there and have a ball.
Yeah, I think that's incredible.
Because I do that on everyone, and I probably shouldn't.
No, I was just about to say that sounds like you. It's like,
yeah, I'm always kind of and then you kind of learn, but you got to take notes if you're going to do that.
I've always said James is a tweaker.
Tweaker. Yep. Tweaker.
Oh, that's what they mean when they say Comanche, Texas has a high concentration of tweakers. Okay.
Yeah, they're talking about James.
Yeah, they're talking about
Y'all never noticed me tweaking?
You never know. So that is, John, congratulations. Any of y'all in the audience, if y'all ever do that, let us know. We'd love to give you a shout out too, even if it's not our recipe, but it's Be a lot cooler.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot cooler.
It'd be a lot more cooler if you
Be a
did.
lot more cooler if you did. But that is incredible. It almost makes me want to enter or just start my own different competition and give myself a trophy. That's a lot easier. But good luck to John. The finals of the NHC is incredibly difficult to get to. So what an accomplishment.
Yeah,
hopefully he
pretty
places.
good accomplishment.
Absolutely. Christian, thank you so much for the feedback. A reminder as I get into questions that if you text 325-305-6107 or email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, you'll get yourself a $15 gift card, which you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. $15 goes a long way. Or call it in and leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107. And when I take that and use it on a future episode, you get yourself the $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Where was that button that I just pushed? Oh, it's right there. Okay. Anyway, our first question of the week is a voicemail, and it is our buddy Bill from Kentucky.
Hello, James, Josh, and Todd. Josh, you're a wonderful host. Been listening to the Homebrew Happy Hour for about a year now. I'm a pretty advanced brewer, but really gained a lot of information. My name is Bill, and I am from Kentucky. My question is for James. Under pressure, when you're pressure fermenting a lager, James said that he pumps his fermentation vessel, whether it's a keg or whatever, with CO2 before fermentation. He said that he didn't do that before, but he sees a lot of gains with that and doing that now. And I wondered if, rather than using CO2, if you could use just pump in air. I know the yeast would eat that up. I wonder if it would be more beneficial or would not. Thank you very much for the show. I enjoy listening.
Bill, thank you. First off, I'm always flattered when advanced brewers listen to the show. I wholeheartedly do think you and Todd are advanced brewers, and I just pretend well. But it is so nice hearing from people who do know what they're talking about and still compliment us. I really like that. But James, he asked you, so I'm giving you the floor, pal. What do you think about using air, which I guess would be from like a compressor or something, to initially pressurize your vessel going into a fermentation stage?
So first of all, I would not do that. It's really not necessary. I had the only reason why now here's what I do. I move it over into the fermenter. Then I pitch my yeast, and then I go ahead and put it on CO2, at about, I'm a little scared of going to full 10 PSI. So I usually keep it around 5 to 8 PSI, and then I let the yeast do its thing. The reason why I do that is I had one batch that I just let go. So you could say it had air in it, but it wasn't under pressure. I just pitched the yeast, sealed it up, double checked the splending valve to make sure I wasn't in a danger area on pressure, and it had lots of phenols. And it probably was a combination of, it was a little warmer than it needed to be at ambient pressure or just regular normal pressure. If you're going to do that, you definitely want to be you want to have it pressurized so it's not creating those off flavors from warmer fermentation, and also the yeast, increased yeast activity, because it's a little bit warmer. Yeast are going crazy. They love that warmer weather, but it doesn't create the kind of flavors you want. So I was talking to Lorena because I couldn't really figure out what the heck was going on. It was just a different off flavor, and she's a certified beer judge, so she hit it immediately. She says, that's phenols, that's yeast. And then I told her what I had done, and she said, okay, well, the next time I brewed a batch of beer, I went ahead and went back to pre-pressurizing at about 8 pounds in the pressure fermenter, and it cleaned it up. So if you're not pressure fermenting, there's really no need to do that, because it's already got air in it from when you close the fermenter up. But if you're doing pressure fermentation, I think it helps to do the CO2. And keep in mind, the oxygen's dissolved into the wort. So the yeast is eating the dissolved oxygen that's in the wort as it's eating the sugar. So just to be on the safe side, I would not do that. I would not pressurize it with just like an air compressor, because I certainly don't want to. And I understand people will come back and say, well, James, the yeast hadn't ate the sugar yet, so there's no cardboard taste, there's no oxidation. But it's just a mental thing to me, and I just wouldn't want to ever take the risk.
I'm trying to think of the logistics too. Is there a way, and I'm asking you, James, because you are the MacGyver of this group. Would you, like, let's say hypothetically you were like, I'm going to try it. Would you put a disconnect on the end of your air compressor line? You know, like on those quick connects, you'd find some adapter and do that. Because otherwise, I mean, because you're going to want the vessel sealed as you're pressurizing it, right? Like how we do when we add CO2, it's on a post with the gas disconnect.
Yeah, there's a gas disconnect post on the splending valve, and then I just pressure it until I see about 8 psi and make sure it's venting right above that.
Right, and if
you do the same thing with air compressor,
okay, so
and just a little barbed fitting and connect it to a disconnect. But I mean, that's definitely something. If anybody out there does that, please leave a comment and set me straight. But I just wouldn't. I don't know. Just wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. Now I understand as the CO2 eats the sugar, it's putting off alcohol and carbon dioxide. That's going to build a layer on top of the wort, and it's going to eventually push the regular ambient air out of the fermenter. So you probably have nothing to worry about. It's probably just me being me.
No, but like you said, that is, you know, if we've learned anything over the almost 10 years, by the way, guys, in February of next year, 10-year anniversary of this show. In the almost 10 years of doing this show, we've learned everyone does it their way in whatever works for them. Because you're right, James, somebody will be in the comments and go, actually, I do that all the time, and it worked out great for me. There are people.
It's probably Jonathan, if I would be well into bet.
Jonathan would be like, well, I don't know if I know Jonathan. Speaking of Jonathan Maroot, he's the one who had told me, and I don't know the science behind it, but he's always like, if you're on the higher end of temperature, like let's say my dad and I put the wort into the fermenter and it's still like 80, 82 degrees, and we just want to pitch, we can't get it cooler. That's when he's told me, always inject 10. I don't know the exact reason. Yeah. I really don't. But I've also...
and I think that, just like I said before, at a warmer temperature, the yeast activity just exponentially grows. It explodes because they're just... That's what they want to do. They can eat and multiply. But the problem is it's not very palatable for what they're putting off for what we're trying to do. So even though the yeast is happy and multiplying like crazy, as long as you can keep it under pressure, you're gonna help alleviate some of those off flavors and phenols that can create from a really fast fermentation at warmer temps. So I've learned my lesson on that. From here on out, I'm going to pre-pressurize every time because I had that one batch that was just not. I poured it out.
Right.
And that's something I've try really hard not to do, because there's a lot of time and effort, and you just keep waiting for it to clean up, and it never did. And it just, in fact, I think I still have a keg of that upstairs that I kegged if I hadn't dumped it already.
No, you dumped it. It's not up there. You dumped it.
Yeah, you don't want phenols in beer. It's terrible.
Speaking of eating and multiplying, Todd, let's throw this over to you. Maybe not the multiplying part anymore, but the eating we've got down. What is your go-to way of oxygenating your wort? Because I know, first off, you don't really pressure ferment hardly ever, but we do know oxygen is needed for it. I've seen people get very expensive setups with the I guess it's still a carb stone or an oxygen stone.
Oh, it's kind of,
same difference. But what is your go-to? Because you have not. When's the last time you've had a bad batch? That's rhetorical. James will answer it for me. It's been a very, very long time.
Never. He's never had a bad batch.
Never.
So I have had bad batches, but it's been a while.
But
thank goodness.
So what is your process, though, for making sure you have enough oxygen in your wort? Is it something complicated or is it something stupid, simple?
Well, it depends on what I'm fermenting in. If I'm fermenting in my large my 17, 18, I think it's 18-gallon fermenter, I have a pump that I'm pumping it in with. So when I pump it in, I take my hose and I lift it up pretty high over the fermenter, and I shoot that beer in there. So it's just shooting into there, and it's frolicking around and moving around. And then I pour my yeast into that stream and shoot that with the yeast with the wort into there, and it oxygenates the crap out of it. So I don't ever have any problem. If I'm using a 5-gallon bucket, which I haven't done in a while, but I use a spoon usually, and I turn it upside down, like one of those really big spoons. I turn it upside down, and then I just hit that wort, and push that air in there. And I do that for like a minute or two.
And that's really it. And that's what's been working for you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My dad and I, he can't do it. He's in the same realm as you are, Todd, where lifting heavy things will break him. But I will frequently.
It'll break you too. It just hasn't broke you yet.
I'm invincible. Oh,
I used to think that.
Yep, we all did.
Yep.
When we were your age, we were all.
I pick up
invincible.
that 15-gallon fermenter, which only has like 10.5 to 11 gallons of wort in it, and I, like I'm gonna suplex it or something, and that seems to be working for us. Just getting splashing and all that. I do know a lot of people. I believe our friends over at the Brewed Up podcast, which I don't know if it's coming back. I hope, ladies, y'all come back, but they use like a sanitized stain on a drill, or at least this is what I've seen on their SoCal Cerveceros Instagram in the past. And there, before they pitch, they put it into their bucket or whatever. And I mean, there are people who, splash it up like crazy just because, again, this is when you want oxygen, right, James? When the yeast want that stuff to go to town. And then, like you said, at the warmer temp, though, they really, really want to go to town. So,
oh yeah, they love that warmer temperature. We just don't love what they create when they are eating at that temperature.
Exactly. So we are so the injecting the 10 psi or 8 or whatever level, 10 or below at the beginning of fermentation is to try to suppress what the yeast is wanting to do or wanting to leave at those higher temps. But like James said before, and like we say every week, if you have something better to answer this question with, leave it in the comments below. If you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, we would greatly appreciate that. Clicking like on this, subscribing, all that good stuff. If you're an audio only listener, like 99.995 of y'all are, call in your feedback to 325-305-6107. And if it is good enough, I will play it on a future episode and you'll get yourself that $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you so much, Bill, for submitting that question. Moving on, our second question is a text message from our buddy Nolan. Also, that same hotline, 325-305-6107. You can leave a text message, and when I use it on a future episode like this, get yourself a $15 gift card, which I think is pretty good. Nolan wrote in saying, "Hi guys, if I freeze bulk dry yeast instead of refrigerating it, should I then rehydrate before pitching, or can I sprinkle without problems? I would normally refrigerate my dry yeast. However, I came across an incredible deal during a closeout sale at my former local shop." And then he put in parentheses, "rest in peace." That's so sad. Freezing it seems like it will extend the lifespan, right? Great show every week. Cheers. I want to comment first and say it is a bummer how many shops are still like, I feel like every month a listener will tell us about their local shop closing. It's very sad. I don't know if that's indicative of the hobby dying, Todd, or the internet prevailing, like internet retail stores. I don't know, but it is a bummer when your local brick and mortar shuts down. So sorry to hear that, Nolan. But let's talk about the yeast. Again, we're very privileged people on this show that we almost always have very fresh imperial liquid yeast. Bulk storage is not really something I do, but after James gave me the recommendation of it's always good to at least have 05 in your fridge and keep it for a rainy day, which, thankfully recently I was able to do that. What do you think, James? Does freezing it expand the life of that yeast?
Oh yeah.
And
I keep all my yeast, dry yeast in the freezer, my bread yeast and also spare. And I know with the bread yeast, I probably have more experience with that, is I actually measure out in a little coffee cup saucer dish. Like if I'm doing pizza, depends on if I do deep dish. Let's just say I'm doing regular, like New York style. I'll do a couple teaspoons of yeast and I'll put it out on a little small plate and just let it warm up to room temp before I hydrate it. Sometimes it just seems like it doesn't, it can kind of shock the yeast, because you got to think when I'm doing, like if I'm doing pizza dough, I do 105 degrees and then I throw that in there. I know you wouldn't want to do that with beer, but then I always let it warm up to room temp. So maybe it's not a big a deal because you're pitching into pretty cool water. And as it is for like doing bread, and you've got warm water, but I have noticed a big difference between letting it warm up and how quick it blooms versus just straight out of because I buy it in bulk. And when you put it in, it seems like it takes a little long. It doesn't bloom as well as if you let it warm up to room temp. Now, would that translate to homebrew? I don't know, but it wouldn't hurt.
So if you were just refrigerating it, would you treat it different in regard? Like,
yeah, I mean, if it's just refrigerated, you're talking about 35 degrees or so. I don't think the thermal shock, I guess, is what you would call it, is near as bad as like some freezers. They get in like negative 30 degrees. Now I'm talking Fahrenheit, so it gets pretty cold.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit of difference.
Oh yeah,
going from a freezer versus a walk-in or your regular fridge,
normal old fridge temps. Yeah. Todd, you have, I know you store yeast in the fridge out there at the barn, because every time I open it up at 1 a.m. looking for a midnight snack, I'm always greeted by your stash of yeast first. What is you've never really frozen it, as far as I know. I know you have a couple freezers around the property, so I might just be missing it. But is there a reason you've only just refrigerated your yeast? Are you not needing to freeze it for the long term? I just don't. I want to understand.
I don't really have a specific reason. I just have it in the fridge. So bread yeast, I'm always shocked like how long bread yeast lasts. They say it doesn't. They say, I don't remember exactly what it is when you open it. You use within this amount of time, but I buy those bulk bags of it, and they're super cheap. I mean, you can get them. I think I've bought them like at Costco for just a few dollars, almost the same price as buying a couple of yeast packets in the store, so if it goes bad, just go ahead and splurge for another one, so
It goes bad, but in the sake of bread, I know we're not talking necessarily directly at Nolan's question. You wouldn't know until you use it though, right?
Well, it's super easy to test. So you just, with bread yeast, all you have to do is just mix up some warm water with a little sugar, and put a little of the yeast in, and it'll start bubbling within 10 minutes.
But
we call that blooming. So you can see the yeast blooming when it makes a little layer of foam on top of the water.
Okay. But then back to the beer yeast, Todd, do you ever hydrate? Is there ever a circumstance you would like, how about this?
No.
When you use
I'm a sprinkler.
Even when like that, I remember Lallemand, which they don't even have that Kolsch strain anymore. And I learned that from Kolsch Cup Grand Champion of 2024, Jonathan Marut, because that was his favorite strain, which Dieter's better. But either way, that was it was a good strain. It's a good strain. But Lallemand then discontinued it. Actually, pardon me, Jonathan didn't tell me that. Todd told me that because he was
at the brow.
That's what it was, at the brow. Yep. You were telling me that. But that on the back of it, remember the sachet of it has like these instructions of first off, they wanted you to pitch a ton of patches,
huge 8 packs. It was for your 15-gallon one, but it was a lot of patch that they suggested, and then you have to rehydrate, and you just ignore those and sprinkled even that dry yeast whenever you used it.
Yeah, I told you I'm a sprinkler.
No matter what. Oh, okay. Because I mean, there's rehydration instructions even on 05 from is it Safe Ale or Safali? I never know how to pronounce that company. Or it's Fermentus.
I've always called it Safe Ale.
Safe Ale.
I don't know.
Safe Ale from Fermentus. Fermentus is the company. I'm going to say Safali.
Well, they got Safe Lager, so it's got to be Safe Ale. Safe Lager.
Good point. You're right. And there's no E after. You're right. Yeah. It's
not Saflager.
I'm going to say Saflager. Here we go. Trub Club is officially going to offer Saflager. Anyway. Sprinkle. I've only sprinkled too. When I did the dry yeast for in here, I only sprinkled. And I almost called y'all to go, oh crap, should I have hydrated it? What am I doing with this batch? But perhaps I am just worrying over nothing. I
don't even remember that Kolsch pack saying that you have to hydrate it.
Yeah, I think I have one left in there. I'll pull it out and
we've got some here too, I think. You took it.
I probably took it. No doubt. Yeah, when I see something I want.
Let's just go for it.
Can I confess something too real quick on the show? My dad and I, the temperature was warmer going into the fermenter than we suspected, and we only because we didn't we did a trickle, but it was still like 81 or 82. And it was probably at 4 gallons. So we still had another.
You did a trickle?
No,
What does that
listen.
mean?
So we're going through. All right. We're brewing on the grain
It's a little more than a sprinkle.
It's a little more
No,
than a sprinkle.
is that the same as a sprinkle? What
It's a
is it?
little-
No,
No.
trickle is too much.
Yeah. Well, so we're coming out of the G40 pump through the counterflow chiller and at a slow rate so that the water can do its job cooling it on those coils. And so that by the time it comes out, it's basically at 80-ish degrees. And so we started, but very slow. So it's not a sprinkle, it's a trickle. And it's going in there, and we
I
assumed
don't think you can sprinkle water.
the sprinklers, that's what sprinklers do. They sprinkle them. Anyway,
Yeah,
so it's
good
going,
point.
it's
I've
going.
been accused of that for a time or two.
My doctor checked me out for that one time. Anyway, so the wort is trickling in at a slow rate, and once we got to about 4.5 gallons, we pitched the first pack. Is that where I went wrong? Did I pitch too warm probably, and that either killed it or the yeast started going to town then, James? Because that was on me. Like
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely pitch it in too warm of wort and shock the yeast where it can't recover in numbers that you need to chomp on those sugars. But I think for the most part, if you're in the low to mid 80s and you pitch it, it's going to love that, but it's going to create so much off flavors.
Oh,
It's
no.
not going to be palatable. It's not going to be drinkable.
Oh God. Well, we might have messed up.
But you can always you can tell that. But I always sample
Tasting.
taste everything that as it's going on. You can tell.
And if you bring it down really quick, you normally won't have that problem. Like if you
That's the thing.
if you pitch it at 80 and you get it down in 20 or 30 minutes, you're probably not going to have a problem. It's when you let it stay at that temperature for a very long time.
It might have been a full hour, honestly.
I think an hour. I don't think. Do you think an hour would matter that much, James? Or
No, I don't think so. Because there's been times like Todd's right when we weren't doing pressure fermentation and we had the chiller. I knew I could pitch it at 80 and turn the chiller on and have it, because all my stuff's been lagers. So I set it on 48 degrees, turn the chiller on, and it kind of worked out pretty good. Now, you could probably argue there may be some subtle flavor differences that you could tell from that. But by the time the yeast was chomping down and multiplying to the point where it's going to start creating gas that you could notice, the wort has already cooled down. So it's created enough numbers so it can really go after the sugars in the wort. I haven't had any issues when I used to do it that way. And in fact, I think Todd was the one that suggested that, because that's what he does. And I don't think I've ever had a bad beer that he's brewed. I mean, his brewing game is way up above mine.
It's dialed in.
It is very dialed in. I mean, that last Pilsner was phenomenally good. I mean, it was my favorite beer that I buy at the store, and he brewed it.
Yeah, I
can't say enough good things about that batch of beer.
I agree. I will give y'all an update. I'll Ted still here later when I go to keg. I'll try it before obviously wasting keg. Before I even waste my time sanitizing kegs, I will taste it.
I think you're going to be fine.
I hope so too. I overthink everything. It's a condition I have, being half Mexican. That's not racist. I am half Mexican, and all the Mexican women on my mom's side do worry a lot. So I'm basically a Mexican woman. But anyway,
James, I'd like to give you a little advice as well. When you are doing your fermenter and you turn it on to get it down real quick, make sure you turn the pump on.
What is that about?
I completely froze mine the other day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I didn't turn the pump back on when I turned it off, and I had it like at 32 degrees because it never gets that cold. Well, it turns out you can freeze glycol if you get it cold enough. Maybe it's like 20 something degrees.
Oh my gosh. It does turn out. So anyway,
it does turn out though. I mean, it turns out, James, that glycol chiller does get down that cold. It's the fermenter that and the inside coil that we're having a problem with, because it gets really cold. It gets cold enough to freeze glycol solution.
Yeah.
You're talking about in the chiller, the water bath in the chiller was frozen solid. Yeah. I've been down that road before.
Yeah. What was the warmest that batch got to after the glycol froze up?
It got up into the 70s like high, but it was pretty much, it was already done.
Oh yeah, I was saying, no, it tasted phenomenal.
So,
I was drinking it. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was already done. So it's not like it was doing that while the yeast was working.
Yeah. It wasn't a detrimental mistake.
I mean, you think about, you get a 6-pack of beer and they transport it. I mean, they don't refrigerate it when they transport it usually. So
yeah, no, I understand. I forgot what
hotter later.
I just forgot what part of the process had happened. Cause your Kolsch is phenomenal. I had it while I was up there. It turned out very, very good. So, obviously it wasn't a detrimental mistake, but anyway.
How's our video, by the way?
Oh, on the Kolsch thing, I didn't publish it yet. Cause I just published the GovReg one.
Okay. But did you, I want to see it when you get it.
Yeah, I'll send you the download link.
We did one, James, where we actually poured beer because when I did all of that, it bubbled up really bad while I was trying to transfer it into the kegs. So when I transferred it, I did a very long period of cold crashing, and then I mixed everything up before I put it in the kegs to completely reverse everything that I had accomplished. So we poured a beer, and the first one was from the bottom of the keg, like you would normally do with a dip tube, very, very cloudy. And then we put in a floated 2.0. Yeah, a floated 2.0. Because I mispronounced it like 6 times while we're doing the video. We had to re-record it.
Yeah, a flobber.
So I put in a flobber and.
You called it a kegget more than once.
A kegget, yeah, kegget. I put it in a kegget, and man, it was clear, right? It wasn't totally clear yet, but it was pretty damn clear.
We do have those shelves restocked, so click the links below. Get yourself a Floated 2.0. We've got a ton of them. We've sold a ton of them, and now we have a ton of them again to sell. They're incredible. I love them. They've been working out good.
They're great. Get you a kegget.
Get you a kegget.
Yep. We were selling so many, we couldn't keep them on the shelf. So we just kind of went nuts and over ordered, and we got a lot on the shelf, guys.
Yeah, that's right. Order now.
Yeah.
It's a great
kegget right now.
I'm going to tell Tron right now, listen, we're renaming it. We're going to private label it. They're the keggets. They're great. And Todd didn't do so. In the video, you'll see if you go to youtube.com/homebrew happy hour sometime Friday, probably, because I'm not going to be, we're off tomorrow for 4th of July, or today when you're watching it. Happy 4th of July again. Probably Saturday. I'll publish it Saturday. But Todd did the traditional method of changing out the actual dip tube on that keg and then putting the floated on it and using it that way, where I'm a big fan of getting the floating dip tube lid from Keg Connection and swapping that out for a floated. The tubing fits right on it. I like not having to modify a keg itself. I can just take that lid from keg to keg and
that's
use it.
That's a great idea.
I loved it. It's been working out really good.
That's what I was going to do, but I
forgot the lid.
Couldn't find the lid.
We couldn't find
I don't know
it.
where it is. I grabbed one. I don't know where it is.
That's the problem when you organize.
It might be in my white truck.
But you had people help you organize, and that happens every time y'all organize your garage. Yeah. Things get moved around. That's why
we don't want to throw anybody like Vilver under the bus, but yeah.
Vilver!
Hey, Julie's an organizer. I came home one day and she cleaned my whole bar area, walls and everything. So yeah.
Did you know where? But did you at least still know where things were, or did she mess that up?
Oh, you kidding? She puts everything in, lays out. Okay, it's here. I mean, it's yeah.
My wife just tapes my stuff and puts it where I wouldn't suspect it'd be, and then
my wife hides stuff from me all the time.
And then when I ask her where is it, it's wherever you put it. I don't no, because where I put it was on the floor next to that shirt and dirty laundry. And like that's
I'll put it wherever I saw.
I put it wherever I saw a spot. Come on,
I know I put it wherever it fell on the floor when I went to bed.
Exactly.
It's not there now.
And it's not there now. That's not where it goes. Well, I thought you said it was where. Anyway, this is not the Homebrew Therapy Hour. This is the Homebrew Happy Hour. And thank you, Nolan. I totally took us off such a far part of your question, but thank you for submitting it. Nonetheless, a final reminder. If you text 325-305-6107 and I use that question, just textual only on a future episode, you get a $15 gift card, and that's pretty good. But when you call 325-305-6107, I want to hear your voice. Leave us a beautiful voicemail feedback, or preferably voicemail question. I'll use it on a future episode, and you get yourself a $25 gift card like our third and final question of this week's show. It's our buddy Melvin from Maryland.
Hey, Josh, Todd, James. This is Melvin from Maryland. Great show as always. I have a problem, and I guess the question. I keep serving beer out of a Jockey box, and it keeps coming out very foamy, never like a proper pour. I serve it at 12 psi with plenty of ice and trying to keep the kegs as cold as they can. I guess my question is, do you have any tips, or what's your process when serving out of a Jockey box for whatever event? Thanks again, and keep up the good work, guys. Thanks.
Now, what I like about when people call in or whatever is if I needed context, I can always contact them. They give me, especially when y'all call in, I have your phone number. I texted Melvin and he was like, you know what? I might as well just call in. I was in the office yesterday, Todd, when he called. Y'all had a great conversation about Jockey boxes. So you have all the context. I'm going to let you lead it. It is kind of up your alley anyway. No offense, James, but this is sort of.
Oh, no, I definitely Todd's alley.
It's a Todd Burns question. So you not only talked to Melvin, give us the context of it, and then also the kind of resolution you'd come up with for Melvin's predicament.
So I did talk to Melvin, who was a great guy, and he's actually, I think he's asked other questions on the show. Just go down one of Josh's rabbit holes. I did want to mention somebody called earlier today. And ask a question, and they were like, "Oh, I listen to your show all the time. I'm a huge fan, and I also hate plastic in my shirts."
Oh, so he's also a boomer. Okay,
but, and I would tell you his name, but then I'm afraid you would block his questions and so forth because you're petty.
I'm very. Friend. Oh yeah, I'm number 72 driver Richard Petty, absolutely, or whatever number he was.
Anyway, I got a kick out of that. So it was great talking to, and what I asked him, the reason I had Josh call is because you got to have more information on these because Jockey boxes are interesting in that you've got a lot of line in these Jockey boxes. There's 50 foot, there's 70 foot, there's 120 foot, and they also have different size lines. So the 50 footers, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be 5/16 OD outside diameter. Everything with restriction is done with ID inside diameter, except for stainless steel, and it's always rated from the OD. And I guess it's because it's probably always the same wall thickness, but I can't say for sure. But anyway, I did the math. He had a 50-foot coil, and I believe it was 0.03. It was 0.3 was a restriction, and that ended up being, no, that can't be right. It had to be 0.10. Anyway, the restriction ended up being 15 pounds. Okay. So, and I should have left my book in here so I could tell you all exactly what the restriction was, but it was 15 pounds. And then he had 4 feet of 5/16 ID vinyl type line, like Bevlex line. And that added about 2 pounds to it. So he had 17 pounds. And he's getting a lot of foaming. So, that's really tricky because you really shouldn't be getting foaming when you've got ice cold beer. Because remember, most beer is not ice cold. It's 38. They say shoot for 36, 38. Well, when you're serving out of a Jockey box, it's literally ice cold. It's 32 degrees, right? So it should not foam very easily at all. But he was still getting a lot of foaming with that restriction. So really, it's a hard one because without being there, without trying to play with everything, you just have to ask a lot of questions. And what I found is that, or what I told him I thought I would try is to go ahead and put a little bit of a choker line on the end just to kind of bring things down and at the very end. And the reason I suggested that, even though it seems counterintuitive, is it seems to work really well when we're doing long draw systems. So if we're doing a long draw system and we're getting some foam, a lot of times just putting a little bit of a choker line, like a couple of feet, 3 feet, will fix that situation and kind of calm everything down and eliminate the foam. The other thing that I suggested is, and it also both of these things sound counterintuitive, but is to actually increase the PSI. So take it up to, if it's 17, try to take it up to that 17. So that you've got the same pressure in the back end as you do with what you're restricting, and try to serve it that way. And you could try each of those individually and see if they make a difference, or try them together and see if they make a difference. And you can always undo what you've done if that doesn't work. But those were my suggestions.
Tell me this. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to interject real quick. What do you do when you have beer left in the keg after the event and it's going to go back on a normal direct draw tap and it's been at
That's an excellent. I mentioned that to him. That's an excellent question. I was getting there, but that's a great question. So when you're done with the event, well, his first thing, like most people, is, well, if I do that, I'm going to overcarbonate my beer. Well, you're not going to overcarbonate your beer if you're doing an event for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, it might raise a little bit, but it's not going to go up to it's not going to go all the way up there, because we've all had beer in the kegerator and it had 0 carbonation, and we put 12 on there, and the next morning it's not super carbonated. It's got basically no carbonation, just a little bit. So what you want to do is, as soon as you're done with your event, you want to disconnect it and you want to purge it. So that, now I want to bring this up because that's a 50-foot coil. That's your best kind of situation, because we just talked about the numbers on that. Now think about going to a 70. Now with a 70, you're over 20. And think about going to 120. With 120, usually the first 100 is larger coil, so you're not going to get as much restriction, but you're still going to get a lot of restriction. So it may be almost 30 is the pressure on there. When you're doing that, it's very important to raise up the pressure so you kind of equalize that out, but also so you could push the beer out. You could literally get to the point you're serving with 10 psi where the beer just wasn't coming out. You just don't have enough. You just don't have enough to overcome the restriction there that you're dealing with. So you do want to raise the pressure, and then you always want to bring it down and pull that tab either on your coupler or your, it just depends on what kind of keg you have, your corny keg, your pressure relief valve, and get that pressure down. And then maybe bring it back up to that 11 or so PSI that you want it, depending on the style.
Can you text me the book, like either a photo of it, so I can link? Is it a publication available on Amazon? Something I can link to?
It is a wonderful publication. It's actually done by the Brewers Association, and it's called the Draft Beer Quality Manual is the name of it, because he just held it up so I could remember the name.
There it is.
So there it is.
Is that available for purchase, or is that because we're members of the BA? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's done by the Brewers Association.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I'll link to it then, because Todd, that information, especially, so I will say this, as I think I'm the lowest common denominator on the chart of Neanderthal to Einstein. I'm at the lower end of that spectrum, where I would think, oh, I have a Jockey box. It's a draft system. I'm going to treat it like a draft system, without realizing that your direct draw in your keezer is like a 5 to 7 foot line, depending on who you are, and not 120 foot coil or a 50 foot coil. That's 50 feet of kind of extra traverse your beer is going through. That makes a huge difference compared to a more direct draw. So call me old fashioned, but that's why I like a trash can full of ice with the keg in it and a CMB event faucet coming right off of that. That's my favorite setup, because it is as 1-for-1 of like a direct draw keezer or kegerator that I can mimic. I don't have to do math. I don't got to worry about cranking up stuff and all that.
I'm gonna plug this manual too, because if you do go to the Brewers Association and you pull it up, one of the things you'll notice is that a copy of it is $24.95, but if you buy more than one copy, it's $9.95. So you automatically should buy one for a friend, because it'll actually cost you less to buy two. And then they have price breaks going down because they want people to use it in classes. And they want this information to be out there. It's actually free to download a PDF of it.
Perfect. Send me that link, and you don't have to be a member, you're saying, to download it.
I'm not logged in, and it's showing it.
Okay,
to me.
perfect. I just wanted to make sure.
But everybody wants to be a member, I'm sure.
Everybody wants to join the BA. You know what, BA? Actually, right now, respond to my emails about Great American Beer Festival. I'm tired of not knowing if we get media passes or not. I've been emailing and following up.
Yeah, he's going to start whining. Y'all better respond to him.
You better. Todd always says the squeaky wheel gets the grease. What about the crybaby whiny wheel? Where's my grease?
I think that you get a bat.
The balding, egghead looking half breed.
Yeah, I think you get a stick or a bat or something. Yeah.
Anyway, no, I want to plug it too because I agree the information is real good, and I believe our buddy Matt Meadows is the contributing writer on it, right?
Yeah,
So-
he did. He kind of honchoed that whole thing.
Yeah,
So.
what a good dude he is from New Belgium. I would like to think he's not part of that reformulation of the fat tire. If you are, Matt, good work what you're doing over there.
I'm not a fan, by the way.
I'm not a fan either.
So y'all know, I ain't afraid to say it. It's not as good.
The old fat tire is a million times better than the new fat tire. It's not even close. It's not literally.
Yeah, people don't remember New Coke.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
whatever, man. New Belgium has people that do the numbers for them. They did their market research and they thought they should piss us off. But anyway,
oh, so did Coke.
You're right. Oh yeah, I don't remember New Coke. I'm a little.
Oh, you weren't.
So they're going to bring it back. I mean, that's what they're going to do. They're going to say the old formula returns, and then everybody's going to buy it. And they're going to sell a ton of beer.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
it's not a bad idea.
You're right. Like, let's taint the perception, and then look, we're the heroes again. I like it. Yeah, I'll buy a crap ton. That's for damn sure. Anyways, Melvin, thank you so much again.
Lowering expectations. Yep, that's
one 6-pack at a time.
That's the title of my memoir, Lowering Expectations, the Joshua Steuben story at Keg Connection. Melvin, thank you so much for submitting that question. The last reminder, guys, I would love for y'all to call in, leave voicemails. I'm getting low to 325-305-6107. And if it's a question, it doesn't even have to be that good. No, I'm kidding. If it's a good question, we'll use it on a future episode. You'll get yourself a $25 gift card. Everyone's happy. Win, 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 win. Todd, James, that is all I have for this week. I really do hope y'all have a great 4th of July. I hope it's full of good beer, good cigars, good food, all that stuff. And I'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
All right. That sounds good. Thank you.
And that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or even better, be our best friend. Leave a voicemail at 325-305-6107 and get yourself that $25 gift card to kegconnection.com. Thank you to our show sponsors like Munton's Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already brewing with Munton's, give them a try by joining the Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial Yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. So go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour right now and come and brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Steuben. Thanks for listening.